Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Paul Lawrence Vann, and I host Wealth Academy podcast. I'm glad that you could be with me. And the conversation this evening is going to be all about where do you and I go from here financially? We know that we're dealing with this pandemic, and it's been tough. I must admit, this all started 21 months ago, but here we are now, about the end of the year 2021, and we have to be able to solve not only issues for our personal life, our professional life, but never forget your financial life as well. And that's what I'll be talking about today. We know that this pandemic has continued to be a challenge. So I'm going to be providing some tips, strategies, and recommendations as 2022 approaches. So thanks for being with me. And my mantra and my for my web podcast is wealth is more than just money. So let's talk about this a bit. We've all gone through 2021. We're almost complete with this month. We have about 10 days until Christmas Day itself. And then after that, the new year will be here. So 2022 is going to get here really fast. So I'm going to provide you with some things that can really help you as you move forward financially. And the reason why I say, where do we go from here? Because we always know that we set New Year's resolutions for the new year, but we want to finish this year off strong. So I'm going to provide you with a few tips, some strategies, and recommendations perhaps you can think about. And remember, everything that I talk about does not apply to you. But before I get started, let me tell you a little bit about my background. I have over 30 years of financial management expertise to include cost estimating, accounting, budgeting, and much, much more. Through my professional life, not only in the United States Air Force, but also with Mobil Oil Company, and I've worked in accounting departments before. And I know one of the things when it comes to personal finance, which is what I'm focusing on right now, is for families to get together this week or next week or a little bit after Christmas and have that money talk, have that discussion about what you achieved this year so that you can start planning for next year. We want to look at things such as, have you paid off your credit card debts? Have you saved an emergency fund? Do you have a savings account? What have your investments been like? And so all of these things play into it. But let's get started now with some of the things that I want to talk to you about. And one of them is to update your beneficiary designations. In other words, if you have a life insurance policy, you want to be able to get your hands on it, take a look at it, find out who who gave you the policy, who wrote the policy for you, who is your insurance agent, who are the beneficiaries on that policy, do you have the amounts, do you need to update anything? That's very important. That likewise, it holds true for your IRA or your individual retirement account, whether it's a Roth or an individual IRA account. You want to make sure that all the beneficiaries for that is proper, is in a line, and if you need to make changes, and if you still have an opportunity to invest in that IRA right now, if that happens to be one of your investment instruments, in addition to your employer, if you're fortunate enough, your employer also contributes a certain percentage to your retirement account. So that's something you also want to look at. But to look at these beneficiary designations is very important. And then let's take a look at your tax withholdings. Do you have a sufficient amount? Do you have a spouse? Do you have children? Or do you have someone that you adopted? You want to make sure that that's in alignment to what is going to work best for you. You want to take a look at not only 2021, but upcoming in 2022 as well. And I believe it's very important that you do this. So get some pen and paper out, take some notes, or review this particular episode because we're closing out this year. And I'm bringing this up. Why? Because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. And so I don't want you to be left out, and I don't want you to be thinking that you'll wait to the last minute, because the last minute will get you every time. And be mindful that Congress is rewriting the tax laws. So we know next year things are going to be a lot different. And we don't know if something other than the pandemic will be coming up. We don't know. So we need to really plan for it. And so also let's review that insurance. uh, what your needs are for that. Whether it's a whole life policy or whether it's a term policy, but you need to have that in order because of the unexpected. And we never need insurance until when? When we need it the most. So if you have a policy, get that policy out, dust it off, brush that dust off of that insurance policy, and look at it. And if you have any questions, contact the provider, the agent that handled it for you. Maybe you want to increase the amount, change the beneficiaries. There are a number of things. Some people cash them out. So you want to make sure that you pay close attention to it. And of course, who are the beneficiaries for that? Because it can make the difference between literally life and death. And you also want to know if a loved one leaves that you're all covered. And we know that over 800,000 people, fellow US citizens, have passed as a result of COVID-19 and this pandemic. And so it's even more urgent that we address this issue today because it's so important. And then you want to also look at your homeowners policies, the homeowners insurance. You want to make sure that you have fire insurance, windstorm, if you have flood insurance. And then you want to ensure that your house is covered and for the sufficient amount in the case of a loss. And you want to dust it off, update this, and work with the insurance agent to ensure that everything is properly aligned because we have an opportunity to be proactive. That's exactly what we need to do. We don't want to wait till the last minute trying to find the policy, what's in the policy, and it just creates more of a headache. So we want to make sure that we get that homeowners insurance policy, review it. If you have any questions about anything, talk to your agent about it, or you could go to your state. In the state you reside in, they also have people who provide oversight on homeowners policies as well as insurance policies. And then we also want to take a look at, and this is another tip I'm giving you, is to review your auto insurance policy. Things are changing. People are driving less now, but when we look at things in a full spectrum, the price of parts have gone up. The supply issue is becoming more pronounced. Certain parts can't get here and people can't get the vehicles repaired. And so we have to ensure that we have auto insurance that's sufficient to cover us in the case of anything happening. And of course, rental cars is another big area you have to be very careful with. I heard a case where not an insurance, but a rental car company would contact the police as if a person had stolen a vehicle. I just saw it on the news the other day. And even though the person didn't steal it, they actually wrote a contract for it, going on vacation, or they were in an accident. And this can cause you a lot of problems. So you need to have your lawyer on speed dial just in case this happens to you. But it's a very renowned vehicle rental company as well, a rental company, and you have to really pay attention, do a little Googling, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I just don't want to name who this rental car company is because I don't want to draw any attention in regards to from them for myself. And then you want to review your entire portfolio. In other words, we want to look at what is the income that you earn? Are you going to stick with your job next year? Are you going to continue to lead your business as an entrepreneur? We need to have all of these things line up. And if you own a business, you need to have a succession plan in place just in case you decide to either sell your business or if you just decide to shutter your business or close it, shut it down. But these things are very, very important. And again, we want to look at if your income is sufficient. Are you investing from your income that you have coming in? Do you have an emergency fund set up? Do you have different emergency funds to include you having a medical issue? Because medical is the biggest reason why a lot of people become bankrupt over the course of COVID and even before that. And so you want to make sure you have great medical coverage as well. And part of this is also being able to spend the eligible flex dollars that you may have with your employer, whether you're a federal employee or if you are working for a private industry. But there's a certain amount of funds that you allotted each year that you can spend. There's a limit, and you want to make sure that you spend that up, because if you don't, you won't be able to use it again. And so it's very important that you check in with your HR department and find out exactly what you have, and have a list of everything in front of you so that you can know what you have. And then you want to check in on the emergency savings account. As I stated again, it's called that rainy day fund. And that rainy day fund is really how you position yourself in the event of an emergency. It's stated that most people are not able to come up with $1,000 in case they have an emergency. And you don't want to be that person that happens to. You want to be able to have sufficient monies to cover you, whether you have an emergency or not. Oftentimes people say have saved up at least 6 months salary, but or some even say 9 months. And people experienced this during COVID-19, and those who saved did quite well, and those who didn't struggled. It was really tough for them. And so you want to ensure that you do that. So have that emergency savings account all positioned. And if you have children, you want to contribute to their college fund, because that's very important. The 529 program, yes, it takes quite a bit of money to pay for college nowadays, but you want to at least find yourself in a position where if you have any extra money left over, that you're putting it into that college fund for your son and or daughter when they're getting ready to go to college. And you want to start planning for the future, not only your children's future, but your very own future. It's very important that we take steps to position ourselves to do what we want to do when we want to do it. And all things being equal, there is a lot of jobs available today. So if you happen to be running from this personal finance side, not as an entrepreneur, small business owner, but personal, you want to be able to position yourself where you're the one who has the final say on what you experience in life. And it's not the employer or anyone else that has that final say, but that you have it. So you have to position yourself for it. I'm not saying that you go out and starve yourself, don't eat, and you stop activities. But what I'm saying is be able to track all of your funds. There's nothing better than having a financial management system in place. It can be either manually, you can do it either manually, or you can do it on an app. But I would just suggest just get a little legal notepad, a yellow pad, go to Staples and get you a couple of those, and just write down what you have today. Make sure that you pay down that credit card debt, though, because that's where a lot of interest is, and you're paying that over and over and over again, and it's really making that credit card company very, very heavy on the revenue generating side. So you want to ensure that you take yourself out of that space, and that you position yourself whereby you're not paying more than you should. So let me give you a quick recap on some tips, recommendations, and suggestions. And one of them is to review your beneficiary designations, the people that you have monies going to in the event something happens to you, whether it's on a life insurance plan or your homeowner's insurance, whether it's an IRA or Roth IRA. And you also want to review your tax withholding, so perhaps you can position yourself to be able to take in more money during the year than you have in the past, as opposed to paying it out and then waiting to do it when you file taxes. And then you want to review your insurance needs, want to review your homeowner's insurance, review your auto insurance, and then diversify. And then spend your eligible flex dollars and check on your emergency savings account to make sure it's fine. And if you have children who have college attending age in the future, you want to put monies in there as well. And then make some charitable contributions at the end of this year. It's tax-free, so it's a good time. And always remember to look for your future. But one of the things I want to talk to you before you go, the tax season is upon us. Start preparing to get those taxes done. And you'll thank yourself for it later if you do some advanced work in preparation for that time to come up. Again, I'm your host, Paul Lawrence Vann. I'm going to end this segment, and I thank you for your time. And I have another broadcast coming on with Askia Davis Sr. He's an investment expert, and he'll be with us on the next episode. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you very much. Goodbye.